That an investigation is coming.
There's going to be a Democratic majority just over a year. And to the FCC chairperson and anyone involved in these dirty deals, get a lawyer.
The East Democrat sported a Jimmy Kimmel hat during the Capitol Hill hearing. He later said in an interview that it should shake every American that the comedian was pulled off the air for his comments about the killing of Charlie Kirk. Meanwhile, Republican Senator Ted Cruz weighed in on the FCC's actions.
I like Brendan Carter. Good guy, chairman of the FCC. I work closely with him. But what he said there is dangerous as hell.
The Texas Republican used his podcast to say that Kimmel crossed the line when he suggested a link between the men accused of killing Charlie Kirk and the GOP. But the FCC's demands, he said, were like the mafia tactics in the movie Goodfellas. Cruz chairs the Senate Commerce Committee, which has oversight authority over the FCC. In New York City, black public advocate Jumaane Williams and comptroller Brad Landers were among 14 elected officials arrested during an ICE protest at Manhattan's Federal Plaza. The group says ICE is illegally detaining immigrants. Homeland Security accused Williams and Landers of causing a ruckus, but a judge has already ordered ICE to improve conditions there. In all, 70 protesters were zip-tied and taken into custody. In Florida, Polk County Sheriff Brady Judd and other law enforcement agencies announced nearly 250 arrests in a Central Florida crackdown on prostitution and child sex predators. One of the suspects was a black recruit for the Orange County Sheriff's Office. The massive arrest was called Operation Fool Around and Find Out Again. During a news conference, one official emphasized that parents need to take special care to talk to their children about potential risks to protect them. In Detroit, Black City Council President Mary Sheffield says she'll fight any Trump administration attempt to overstep its authority in the Motor City. The Michigan Chronicle, powered by Real Times Media, reports her comments came the same day Vice President J.D. Vance jokingly told supporters that the governor need only to ask for the Trump administration to send in National Guardsmen to walk city streets to combat crime. Sheffield is one of 9 candidates running for mayor. Current mayor Mike Duggan is running for Michigan governor as an independent. And finally, in New York, African-American gymnastics pioneer Wendy Hilliard has been honored by the NAACP Mid-Manhattan branch. Hilliard founded the Wendy Hilliard Gymnastics Foundation nearly 30 years ago to provide free and low-cost training for Harlem youth. She accepted the award alongside staff and 3.
Welcome back to the second segment of today's program here on American Family Radio. We do have the video up on X and Meta or Facebook and stream.afa.net. So if you want to watch the program, you can go to those places and go to the show page and watch today's program. Jumping to our next guest that we're glad to have on the program, the Louisiana Attorney General, Liz Murrill, is with us on today's program. Attorney General, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's great to be with you, Walker.
Well, we wanted to have you on because one of the issues that we talk about frequently at the ministry here and on the program is how we can protect young people, specifically minors, both from a parent responsibility, a mother and a father responsibility, but also as government. What roles and steps can we take to protect young people from the harms that are out there on the internet and social media? You actually launched a lawsuit against a major gaming platform. Well, what really started as a gaming platform has turned into much more than that. Roblox, as Attorney General, you launched a civil suit against Roblox, the platform. And a lot of parents, kids play Roblox or own Roblox and they don't even know it. I've heard from parents who say, yeah, I just realized my kid's on this platform, chatting or gaming and doing different things. So give us a little context, a little backgrounder, and tell us why you ended up having to sue Roblox.
Well, what I think is surprising to a lot of parents is just how dangerous Roblox is, and that's what drew my attention to it initially, was just the almost complete lack of protections for children and the large user base of children on this app. And so they market it to and for children. They market it as a safe product for children. They convince parents that protecting children is their top priority. but we can tell from a lot of different metrics that is simply not true, and that this is one of the most dangerous platforms for children that's out there. They basically have created a safe haven and open access location for sex predators to find kids and groom them and abuse them or exploit them.
Yeah, anybody who starts looking into Roblox and reading up on it and studying up on it from reputable sources, they're going to quickly realize, probably within 10 minutes, how bad this is. And because of this kind of free-for-all environment that has been fostered by the company itself and the developers of Roblox, and to your point, it's an environment, an online environment, not necessarily all gaming per se, where adults are allowed to interact with children. And in your lawsuit, and specifically in some of your press statements, you've put out some specific examples where these games, if you will, such as Escape to Epstein Island. One of them is regarding Diddy, like a Diddy party, which everybody who reads the news knows what those allegations are and those charges are. So these and some of this stuff we probably can't even go into on air. We have to be pretty generic, but there's some horrible stuff that children are being exposed to on this platform.
Yeah, and it's not just one, Walker. It's hundreds of these little experiences, which are like a game within the app, where someone can go create this experience, and then invite other people to come into it. So you have bedroom experiences. You have, I think it's permissible to say that there are orgies on this thing with the naked avatars that are created. These P. Diddy simulations. There's a public bathroom simulator. Right after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the simulation of the assassination of Charlie Kirk started to pop up very quickly. They did take those down very quickly, but that's not the same. Can't be said for some of the other terrible things that have been available and where children have been invited into them and allowed to engage in conduct that is appalling. And I think it's very dangerous. It is as though they created this gigantic public park, they populated it with sex predators, and then they invited a whole bunch of kids inside.
Yeah, and that's a good entryway into the legal argument, because there's the moral argument, which can be made, and it's a very strong argument about how terrible this gaming platform has become. A lot of immorality taking place, but the legal side of this, there's multiple avenues here that obviously you're taking. But when you position yourself and claim to be protecting users, and you have to abide by both state and federal laws because you're operating in the U.S. on the internet, there's a lot. There actually is responsibility. You can't just have the Wild West with minors going on here.
Right.
And then expect there not to be any type of civil or criminal liability involved.
Right, and just to kind of put it into a little bit of context, this is a platform that has approximately 320 million users in their user base, over 80 million people a day on this app, and about 60% of them are under the age of 16 or 16 and under, and then about 40% of them are 12 and under. So when 40% of your user base is 12 and under, and you are out there marketing this both to parents and to kids as safe for children because safety's in your DNA, that's flatly false when we see how little they actually do to have meaningful protections in place. And it's not hard to tell because you can look at what some other platforms are doing and they aren't doing those things. So I think that it's false advertising in an extreme degree, and this is not new for legal liability. I mean, we went after Big Bacco years ago because they were marketing their product to children. We go after other people now for selling products in a way that is illegal but marketed to children, and it is illegal when you're marketing it to children. So, we're looking at all kinds of bad activity that's occurring on this app and a lack of responsibility by the platform to make sure that those things can't happen.
I want you to, once again, we're talking to the Louisiana Attorney General Liz Morrell about her lawsuit, her office's lawsuit against Roblox on behalf of the state of Louisiana. Attorney General, I want you to talk about, if you will, these arguments in favor of, they're not going to position it like this, but they're in favor of Roblox, basically, or they might call it, there's the Free Speech Coalition, which is about all the tech conglomerates. They all fund this basically lobby group, and they call themselves the Free Speech Coalition. They sued Texas over some of the age verification stuff. Then there's Net Choice, but there's basically these different lobbying groups that are mostly all funded by major tech companies and websites so that they don't have to do any kind of responsibility or age verification, etc. But just talk about these straw man arguments that are out there that, well, you know, Louisiana shouldn't be regulating these websites, etc., etc.
Yeah, Net Choice is an organization of tech companies that also sued us over our age verification law. And, you know, I've met with some of the representatives of some of those companies, and my answer to their arguments about somebody else should be responsible for age verification is that everybody needs to be responsible for the age verification. That's not the only tool that they can use, but certainly that is the minimal expectation. And I think that when you know that you have a product that is so susceptible to abuse and predatory behavior, then they have a responsibility to do it too. So I'm just not very sympathetic to these arguments that try to sort of deflect to somebody else the responsibility for protecting our kids. I think that they all have it, we all have it, and we should do everything we can. Social media has just created this explosion of sex predatory behavior and abusive behavior and sextortion that can occur through all of these different media, and I think they all have a responsibility to help stop it.
Absolutely, and to act as if, and some do in their messaging, for these companies and these lobby groups to act as if they don't have the ability to, or it's just really difficult to, that's just not the case. I mean, we're in 2025. We've got some of the most advanced technology in the world that's ever existed.
Right.
And to act like we can't verify a user's age through various means, that's just not an argument that holds water. And so I think most people understand that. But what I think it really gets down to, and I want to get your take on this, and some of this is speculating, and maybe it'll come out in depositions or court arguments, but ultimately I think this could get down to money, meaning when you got 60% of your users being minors, which is the stats you cited, and then you start asking for their age or their ID, that could cause a drop in traffic, which then causes a drop in revenue, if you will. So a lot of this could get down to they just don't want to have to cut down how many people are on their website.
Oh, that's right. So, you know, if you added these words at the end of every sentence objecting to it, where they say somebody else should do it, it shouldn't be us, or it's too hard for us to do it, and if you just added words because it's not in our financial best interest to do it, that would probably be accurate and a fair statement. I mean, it's definitely the economics of limiting some of the users are not favorable in this kind of system for them, because it potentially limits your user base, or it limits what access your user base has to certain things and certain people on it. So all of that has a financial impact. In Roblox's case, you know, they went for years with TIP to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. When they did start reporting, they had already bounced their numbers up so high, their reporting is abysmal compared to their user base. If they were to put meaningful protections in place for kids, then it would dramatically affect their user base and their user engagement. So there's no doubt in my mind that this is all about money.
You know, it gets to the point where you look at some of these platforms, and there might be some entertainment, some clean entertainment that comes from it, maybe in certain instances, but the vast majority of these platforms are just used in not necessarily all illegal ways, but just not wholesome ways. And I think that's whether we're looking at Discord, I know that's in the spotlight with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. These platforms, especially ones that are very unregulated and not verified with their users and no really safety measures, they're just becoming very dangerous platforms. That's just all there is to it. And any quote good that might come out of the platform in the form of entertainment or productivity is far outweighed by the bad and the wrongdoing that comes off these platforms. So last thing I want to ask you, Attorney General, once again, we're talking to the Louisiana Attorney General, Liz Murrill, about her office's lawsuit against Roblox platform. What are you seeking? What does a win look like for you in court with Roblox? And maybe a win broadly when you're talking about these other platforms?
Well, I mean, I think for starters, I've said they need to fix it or shut it down. So to your point, if it is so dangerous that they can't, if they claim they can't, make these changes, then what they have is an inherently dangerous product for children. And so I think, children shouldn't be allowed to be on a platform that is that dangerous to children. So I would like to see them fix the system. I have not said that I'm trying to destroy the company. I would like them to fix it. At the end of the day, what I want to do is to protect children. And so I don't think that it necessarily does that if we shut down one company and another one just pops up in its place with all of the same defects and problems. So we need to find some changes that will be applied in the system that would provide meaningful protections for children. I see no purpose whatsoever in allowing strangers to have access to our children. I think there ought to be much more severely restrictive limitations that block strangers from being able to talk to a child and make sure that they aren't easily circumvented. Right now, the way that system works, a predator can tell a child exactly how to turn off all those protections, and they can be disabled. So, I think that needs to change. I think they need to financially contribute to addressing the problem that they've created. They have contributed to an explosion in sex predator traffic, and I think they need to be financially responsible for what they've created.
Couldn't agree more. Louisiana Attorney General, thank you so much for coming on the program, and we appreciate your courage in taking up this suit, and we'll keep tracking it.
Thanks for your interest. I appreciate you all.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. That's Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill talking about her lawsuit on behalf of the state of Louisiana against Roblox platform. And this problem is not just limited to Roblox. I mean, they're one of the baddest actors in the field, in the arena. But the topic of child exploitation online on these platforms is rampant. And age verification it's the easy answer, and that's what we're fighting for in states around the country, and we've thankfully implemented it in various states, especially involving pornography. But this should not be controversial. I mean, you got these multi-billion-dollar tech companies that are building AI bots, and you can't verify the age of your users? I mean, this is like 1990s stuff. Verify the age of the users. We do it when we fly on airlines. We do it when we register to purchase products on, Amazon. You could go down 17 different examples of where we enter in our driver's license number to get a service or a product. And we're talking about protecting children and their innocence. This is a no-brainer. So we appreciate the Attorney General. We'll be back.
Hello, my name is Andy Miller, and I'm the president of Wesley Biblical Seminary based in Ridgeland, Mississippi. We are developing trusted leaders for faithful churches, and we do that based in the authority of Scripture and in the reality that Christians can be transformed.